we're back. We're live. We're here on ThinkTech Talks on a given Tuesday afternoon in the 3 to 4 block. We have 15 talk shows every week, and we're going for 20. And today is Asia in Review here, and we have, as our special guest, straight from Beijing, we have Russell Leu. Russell, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jay. It's always a pleasure to be in your show, and it's a pleasure just being in Hawaii, where the air is beautiful, and I always look forward to coming out here.
It's a pleasure getting old with you, Russell.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but you're getting old faster, I'm sure you are.
Well, with the pollution in there, the rate of my aging is quite fast.
Russell is a practicing lawyer in Beijing. Isn't that wonderful? He was a practicing lawyer, and he is a lawyer here in Hawaii. But he chose, 10, 12 years ago to go to Beijing. 10 years ago, I'd make it worse than it is, yeah? To go to China and practice and find his fortune and adventure in China. And through him, we live in China. Through him, we practice in China. It's like watching one of those very exciting serials on cable. You know, every week there's something different. And that's why we like to, get Russell here in the studio every time he makes a trip to Honolulu, which he does every, month or two anyway.
It's about every month or two, Jay.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Good for you. I think Russell is one of the important connections between Hawaii and China. And, as the years go by, it becomes more and more clear that he serves us all in that sense by connecting us with China. So we're entitling this show, Where Are All the Chinese? If that sounds familiar, it's because that's what we had entitled the last show. So, all right, ni hao ma, baby.
Well, no.
What is that, whoa, hi, how?
I'm fine.
Okay, thank you.
I should say hello, Jay.
So the last time you were here, you were an organizer and a panelist in the program we called Don't Be Afraid to Send Your Kid, or for the business guys, or your CEO to China. And we made the case in that show, and I think it was successfully made, that, it's a mixed bag, it's complex, that question doesn't easily answer itself, but that on balance, it's a very exciting thing to do, and certainly you would take the position, wouldn't you, that you shouldn't be afraid to go to China.
Definitely, Jay. And there's a story I have to tell you. When I went to UH years ago, I had a friend and I named Lance, and he and I would look and check out who were in our class or in business college. If there were too many Chinese, he would say, Russell, let's get out of here. The curve, we're going to get smashed. Today, I've had kids that tell them, find the class where all the Chinese are and get into that class and get into their study group. The world has changed indeed.
That's so interesting. When I go and view these silent auctions, in the black tie affairs, I always look for the Chinese names on the bid sheets. But this reminds me of Derek Brow, who was on that panel with you back a month ago. I guess it was in September.
Yes.
And he said, he was in school. I forget the school. You might remember it.
Redmond. He was in Redmond Law School. It's the #1 law school in China.
What was that? I didn't realize.
It's a very good school.
Very good school, and it's in Beijing.
It's in Beijing. It's 3 blocks away from my law school.
Is that right? Did you know him while you were both there?
Yes, I did know him, and there's a group of Hawaii people that we always try to help each other. You know how we Hawaiians are, wherever we go around the world.
Should be like
it's
that.
Ohana.
Should be
family.
like that, yeah.
And so,
people expect us to be
people
like
expect
that.
it, and that's great. That's great to have that feeling.
Anyway, so he said that when he was going to study groups, or when he was going on, for that matter, travel around China, which he did as much as he could while he was there, he always went for the Chinese students. He didn't want to spend a lot of time with the Americans. He thought the experience would be that much richer if he did that.
Well, I think it is. And when I take a vacation, I travel in China. I don't travel with Americans or expats. I travel in a Chinese travel group.
Yeah.
Where everything's very interesting from their perspective.
How's your Chinese? It must be getting better and better.
It's pretty good, but again, I think there's nothing like if you grew up in an environment here where you spoke Mandarin all the time, you would never have a problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I know that I could do that. I could get past hello, goodbye, and you're welcome.
Well, one of the interesting things is I was on a flight.
Thanks.
I was a flight back from the Bay Area, and a kid sitting next door to me spoke perfect Chinese. Now, he didn't have black hairs in Chinese. He was blonde hair. And it turns out that since he was young, his parents, who were in the Silicon Valley, hired a Chinese nanny and who only spoke Chinese. And that's what they're doing. We get a free education.
Sure.
Hire these nannies.
You get value added on that.
Value added to that. Speak Chinese.
Oh, that's fabulous. So, I want to sort of step through a kind of day, a day of Russell Leu, first in Beijing. What's your day like as a practicing lawyer? I remember when I saw you there in 2000, and I think it was, I want to say 2005, but I could be wrong, 2005, I think. You took me on a bus, and then we got some kind of motorized rickshaw ride. You negotiated with the guy. That was impressive, and had a very intense negotiation. I guess that's part of the program. And you took me to a fabulous department store where you introduced me to the guy selling electric bikes, and I took a ride all around.
That's right.
All around the department store. He encouraged me to do that. With my coat and tie, I was riding around in the aisles of this department store, an electric bike, and the guy was following me behind, hoping I wouldn't crash into one of the tables. Anyway, give us a day in the life of Russell Leu in Beijing. What's it like?
Well, being in Beijing, the first big challenge is I wake up, Jay, and everybody, it's no secret that there's a pollution factor. I look in my iPad, my iPhone, for the app that tells me what's the pollution reading today in Beijing. So I know what kind of to wear, what kind of weather to expect. So do I carry my mask with me, which I carry all the time? And then, I go on this subway ride about an hour into my office, and it's jam-packed. People are wall to wall getting in. You're sweating when you're getting to work. But again, my office is in an area called the China World Towers. Very nice, very modern.
This is the business district in Beijing?
This is the business district, and you hear the word CBD. CBD is the Central Business District, and this is where all the multinational companies are, the law firms are located in this district. The very nice hotels where they are in this district.
So you get hotels and business offices
businesses.
all mixed up.
Yes, and it's just kind of a couple blocks where most of the law firms are located. Our hotel tower is China World Tower 1. There's a China World Tower 2, China World Tower 3, and it runs over about 4 blocks, long blocks, and they're big buildings, and
new buildings.
And new buildings, and the tallest building is in China World Tower 3, the summit. That's the tallest building that you want to go take pictures. You can take it in this building, and it's modern offices, ultra high security. You just can't walk in the office building. You have to turn in your passport. They scan it. They have a record, and they give you a badge to go and enter.
Wow.
So they know
Why that level of security?
I think after we had 9/11 here, they decided that they're going to be a tall building, that they didn't want this. And the other day we heard a news clip about some guy driving his car into Tiananmen, catching fire, killing 3 people. Well, it sounds like the
They're not
U.S.
going to let that happen again.
They're not going to let that happen. So they're very tight on security, making sure that nobody's in danger.
Does that offend you? I mean, does it make you feel, oppressed?
Not really, because when I went to our New York office, Rockefeller Center, they asked me for my passport or something. I gave they scanned it, and they said, okay, here's your pass, and go up. So it doesn't offend me. I think that's the standard for a high security.
No, I think more and more that'll be the case around the world.
More and more. And it's interesting because these office buildings are interconnected underground, and each stop there's a hotel, and it's the Shangri-La that owns all the hotels, the China World Hotel, the Traders Hotel, and then the actual tower in the summit wing.
That's Kerry Properties, isn't it?
Kerry Center is part of it.
This is part of Kerry Center.
Well, Kerry Center is a part of this whole complex, whole area for 4 blocks. It's huge.
Yeah.
So everything's there. You can find anything and anything you want in China. Very high-end things, grocery stores.
Well, how expensive is it? I'm just wondering. I mean, what does it cost, for example, to take that 1-hour subway ride to start?
2 kwai.
Oh, thank you.
2 kwai.
What is that?
So 2 kwai would be roughly, remember, 6 kwai would be 6 kwai would be $1. So that's roughly 30 cents. Yuan.
Yeah.
It's 30 cents.
30 cents
30
to an
cents.
hour-long subway
Yes.
ride? You can't find it anywhere in the world.
And I can go around the whole loop. I can jump onto other routes, and it's a great way to get around. I catch a subway because it takes me to all parts of the city.
But you can take the bus too. I saw you take the bus.
I can
You
take
know
the,
the
I can,
bus
I
system
can
on
take
the
the
back
bus.
of your hand. Yeah.
I can take the bus, and
Yeah.
the bus is a fun ride.
It is a fun ride. You took me on the bus, and I remember that forever.
The
Yeah.
bus drivers,
Yeah.
they drive, the roads sometimes are bumpy, and so everybody's flying up and down, and they're crowded.
So what's your office like at Shepherd Mullins? I mean, is it big and glorious like in the Good Wife serial on cable?
Well, I think it's a great office. I don't know what you mean by...
No, fancy, you know, with the best glass partitions and nice furniture and brand new everything. Is it like
Well,
that?
everything's brand new because the Beijing office has been 2-year-old. It's a 2-year office. So it's brand new. Our Shanghai office is a lot larger than ours. And I think it's a nice office, and it functions well.
How many lawyers there?
We have about, all the offices are filled, so I'd say with lawyers, maybe about 10 to 15.
This is a small office.
Small
It's a small law office
Right.
in China because China can have. We had somebody sitting in this chair who was the managing partner of a Chinese law firm, which had 3,000 lawyers.
But let me give the distinction.
Yeah.
When we talk about law firm, and the Chinese talk about law firm, they're two different worlds.
Okay.
In a Chinese world, they have 3,000 or a couple hundred, what have you, but they're not run like a central law firm with everybody's a partner. They're like different law offices.
Like loose association.
They're the
kind of thing.
Confederation of States.
Yes.
And so there's no, it's a very different.
Not centrally managed.
Not centrally managed. They're different profit centers, and they're independent. A lot of them are independent, but they all have this marketing thing that they do together. So when they say a couple thousand, you need to know whether or not they're one of these. Most are like that. The Chinese. So they're really, there could be just a group of 5 here, but they belong to 3,000.
Yeah.
And they pay rent space. And
Got it,
some
yeah.
law offices will have a lot of seats and they're always empty. And I was like, why? I said, why are they empty? He says, well, those guys never show up, but they're part of the firm. And they pay a percentage
feather
of it.
bedding.
So it's for the name. It's great for the
They have their name on the door.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
Yeah. So
Doesn't matter if they
doesn't
come
matter.
out or
They're not
not.
run like a U.S. law firm. And everybody asks me what's the difference. Is that I don't think they are any better of a price break than we are because their rates are very high now. Some of them.
How high?
Well, they could be $400 an hour to $500 an hour, maybe more than here.
And this is dependent what on schooling or experience practicing or area or what? How do
Area,
you
probably
fix that?
maybe the area or the expertise where there's a great demand, a few of them.
Yeah.
However, one thing that's very different is remember that the difference is why an international client will ask us, well, why can you justify your being there? Well, one thing is that we are still covered by the attorney-client privilege. We have matters are all confidential. The Chinese lawyers take an oath that that oath is not to the client, it's to the party. And if the party says you can't give that information, so they're state secrets, you can't give it to them. So, and you can't get sued for
You don't have to
for
take
attorney-client.
that oath, though.
We don't have to take that oath.
Who's we?
When I say we, it's expat lawyers.
Expat. You're an expat lawyer. That makes you different from a Chinese.
Very different than
practicing
Chinese lawyer, right? So
Okay,
I'm
so
bound by
and the firm itself, Shepherd Mullins,
It's-
is an American firm.
Yes.
What's your headquarters?
headquarters is in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So it's an American firm with an office in Beijing.
That's right.
And an office also in Shanghai.
Yes, it's a rep office.
So this is good for. I mean, that's a great thing for an American firm to actually open an office, 2 offices in China.
Yes.
And they handle what? Import, export. They handle matters of business between the United States and China. Is that
Matters
what-
of business between U.S. and China, or U.S. and wherever. I mean, I've got a client that's in Europe, and they have a matter where they owe a lot of money. It looks like the other side is going to file bankruptcy. So there's all kinds of issues.
So these are deals that you handle.
Yeah,
But
or
you
we
don't
have
go to
deals.
court, Russell.
We don't go to court. We have to work
Nobody in
with-
your firm goes to court.
Yes, and foreign lawyers cannot go to court and to litigate. We have to work with local lawyers and law
Okay,
firms.
fair enough. Is that what you do?
And so that's what we do. We work with them when we have a litigation matter. But it's a fascinating, Jay, that sometimes we have to really screen our law firms that we work with. We want to make sure that we don't have issues of foreign corruption practices or these kind of practices. And we have run across times where that many Chinese firms will say, well, you have to give us this X amount of money. we have to take care of X, 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 Y, and Z. And those
You're
people
not
will
gonna
say,
do
here's
that.
a door, sorry, but we're not going to do it.
Okay, so, but when you do that, when you say, sorry, we're not going to give you anything that might be a problem in the Foreign Practices
Yes, that's
Act,
right. We,
does that mean they get mad at you and never touch you again, never do business again?
no, I don't think so. They understand that we have this, we have these laws and regulations in place. They do understand that.
Okay, what about conflict? Are the rules of conflict the same or different? I mean, if you find you're representing client A and the firm that you're inclined to hire to help you maybe go to court represents somebody in conflict with client A, what happens? Rules the same?
Same, we'll get another law firm to work with.
Okay.
We
Because you're
will
going to
not-
extend your conflict rules to them.
Yeah,
You're going
so-
to make them follow your conflict.
Yeah, exactly. So we will definitely not hire them. We will work with somebody else.
Okay. Well, that's pretty exciting. So you're working hard over there, Russell?
We're working very hard, Jay, extremely hard. And I think it's a function of now where the nature of the business is changing, or we're seeing more and more trends that are different. For example, more Chinese companies are going abroad.
Sure.
Who will need outbound services. That's the newest
So
market.
you're going to help them get organized in the U.S.
That's right.
And you will, for example, refer a Chinese client that you find to your Shepherd Mullen headquarters in L.A. or some correspondent of your Shepherd Mullen.
That's right. If we can't handle it, a lot of things we can handle, but then we'll then get a local attorney in a certain area if we need that. Especially if there's litigation, we can do that.
How you doing? I mean, you're doing good. I mean, are you able to get Chinese clients who want, American legal services?
Well, my last client I'm working on to build a relationship took some time. Now we're on their list of attorneys is Sinopec, which is a huge company.
Chinese company.
Chinese company, very large. They have 2,000 lawyers in there.
Inside. House counsel.
House counsel. That's how
scary.
huge they are. It's scary. And you have to get on their approved list, which we are now on the approved list. So when I get back to Beijing, I have another meeting with them, and it takes a process of getting to know you, them getting to know us, and so forth.
Well, I don't know if I can handle your life, but at least I know a little more about it. This is ThinkTech Asia in Review. That's Russell Leu. He's with Shepherd Mullins in Beijing, Shanghai, and Los Angeles. And he is having a very exciting legal practice life, I must say. We're going to take a short break so we can contemplate how that works. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about why Russell is here, which is a very interesting question. We'll be right back.
I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
We're back, we're live, we're ThinkTech on a given Tuesday. We're talking Asia in Review with Russell Leu of Shepherd Mullins, an American law firm based in Los Angeles, which has offices in Beijing, where Russell works, and in Shanghai, which is a bigger office. So Russell, why are you here? You're always running everywhere. I mean, you have really drunk the Kool-Aid here. You are not only Chinese, but you are Chinese. You know what I mean?
Everything is business trade.
Okay. Why are you here?
Well, I actually was first. I was up in California. I have a project there at the border of Mexico and southern part of California.
Okay, something
And
new.
it's something new. I can't say much, but if this project goes through, it's a game changer for the region.
Okay.
And an infrastructure project.
Okay, so it's an infrastructure project involving Chinese investors.
There's a Chinese investment potential.
That's pretty
investment.
exciting. Yeah.
So it'll benefit the Mexico side, the American side, and the Chinese. It's interesting because the week before this, fortuitously, the ambassador of Mexico for China stopped in our office and did a presentation about this whole triangular relationship we're seeing the Latin America, the importance of the rise of Latin America, and where the Chinese are heading that way, and how does it fit in with the U.S.? Is there a component where all of us can benefit? And there is a component there.
Well, it just strikes me that you have an enormous advantage in that. You know, one because you're Chinese, and the other because you're Chinese. You know what I mean? And so, you know, if the Chinese were going to do business with somebody in Mexico, they would need a facilitator. They would need somebody to, you know, develop at least intermediate guanxi. They went cold. It would be difficult on both sides of the coin. They wouldn't feel so comfortable, and you know, unless they had some comfort, and the Mexicans wouldn't feel that comfortable either. But you can put them together, can't you? Because you know the American, or say the Americas. You can help both sides. You can facilitate between the two of them, and it strikes me that, you know, regardless of the legal work involved, you can do the people work as very few can. So that could be a value added for this kind of deal, right?
Well, definitely, I think there's a relationship added value for the American clients, because in the Chinese world, I'm called a Meiji Huayan, which means I become I'm a family from the Chinese. I'm part of that family, even though I was born and raised in the U.S. They still hold me accountable to the rules of the tribe, the Chinese tribe, the Han people.
Like that?
So,
this is good. It's good
well,
for business.
that sounds good, but then on the other hand, if I did something wrong in China, they can hold me to the laws of the China. And they'll say to the American side, well, no, he's not an American citizen. He's a member of this
So you
tribe.
might get a harder time.
A harder time.
Remember what happened to
Yes.
Bo Shi Lai, you know what I mean?
He had a hard time. But the advantages that I see is that because of my background, I have some ties to it. Although I was not born in China, they would take me into their homes, and they wouldn't take you, Jay. Although they're smiling, so you're a great guy, speak great Chinese, Jay. They would take me to their home. There's a trust factor, so I think that's important in any type of relationship-driven business. And law is a relationship-driven business, although you have to do legal work. It's still relationship-driven.
So are you glad you made this move 10 years ago?
Well, I'm glad I haven't moved back, Jay. I can find it with modern technology. I can call back all the time. I can coming here, and the big news is that I see is starting January, Air China is going to fly direct flights from Beijing, and in April,
That's good for you.
That's good for me. Hawaiian Air is going to fly direct flights from China, from Beijing to here, which means that it's going to be a big changes here if things are done right. It might be like the Japan investment era, where you have a lot of investments in tourism.
So. Why did it take so long to get these air routes put in place? What's the problem?
It's market driven. It's because
nobody wanted to go.
Well, it's because I think there hold a lot of set of factors. The cost of flying in. If a foreign airline comes in here, there's a cabotage laws. They cannot go to another city. They have to fly back. So they have to have projected that they're still going to bring enough, and they're going to take out back the same amount.
Yeah.
Also, if there was cargo or something they could add on, that would be an added value.
Yeah.
So.
So now I got 2 direct flights. That's really something.
Yes.
And what's the frequency of these flights? Is it every day, every week?
I don't think they've announced it, but I hope that it's no more than just once a week. I think there'll be more than that.
Yeah, but 2 of them, that's impressive.
That's impressive. So again, but I hope there's enough on the plane so that they have a successful run, because
Well, the thing is, if there are not enough on the plane, they're going to cancel that route,
they're
aren't
going
they?
to cancel the route, and we're going to have a black eye here. People won't come here.
Right, they won't come again so fast.
They won't come again. My concern here is that whether or not we are ready for it, Jay. That's always been my concern. Hotels, I hear that the occupancy rate now in some hotels are 80 to 90% without the Chinese. So that means if they come here, where do they stay? That would be a very interesting question. And will they have a Hawaii experience so that it's memorable, that they'll go back and tell everyone else, Hawaii was great, I had a nice time.
Well, it goes to your
Hotels
thing
are great.
about the airport signs, doesn't it?
Yeah, airport,
Tell the people about the airport signs.
Well, I think my cause concern was that, we have airport signs in different languages, Japanese and Korean. We should have them in Chinese. I believe that there are some Chinese signs, but the tapes, if you're going to have language tapes and you're going to have Japanese speakers and Korean, there should be Chinese. They're the biggest market. When I go to airports in the Midwest, they have Chinese tapes, believe it or not. Chinese language tapes.
Surely we can do that.
You know.
Surely we can do that too.
Or the other part is we don't have any tapes except I would advocate English and Hawaiian. Everybody understands English and Hawaiian because this is Hawaii. This is our product. Hawaii, beautiful place, and the culture and the people. That's our product.
Well, now what about, I mean, I hear so much, some people say, oh, watch out for those transactions on Kapiolani Boulevard. The Chinese are here. They're buying land under numbered corporations you never know, and they're buying a lot of land. I don't actually believe that. The second possibility is that they're overflying us. They're going directly to LA. This is not a trophy destination for them. There's not much here. They don't care about going to the beach with, hula skirts. They don't care about that. They want to do achievement, type A personalities, all of them just like you. And so what's the real deal? Are they likely to come here? Are they likely to find comfort, in the old Waikiki style, Russell?
Well, I think is that people in China are risk takers. They're much more adventurous than what we would think Americans would think. They all want to try to be the first ones and come back with that experience. So I definitely will see people coming out here. Again, will they repeat? That's another question. Is this place accommodating to them? I don't know. Or do we have enough Chinese speakers, in stores?
We don't have many.
And that's what I'm concerned, because if you greet a Chinese person, Japanese, they'll think, well, you don't care about the Chinese. So why would
It's
I?
a natural enmity.
Well, there's natural cultural differences that
Yeah.
that that we'll have to know and understand and deal with it. But I think that can be overcome. But the whole thing is that we need to make them feel friendly, just the same way to the Japanese tourists.
Sure.
We should make friendly to the
Should we-
Chinese
even
tourists.
Steven.
Even Stevens. Or better yet is, let's throw the language out, everybody. English and Hawaiian. This is Hawaii. This is our product. This is our culture.
Yeah.
The Chinese will understand English, and I don't think there's a problem with that. But
Yeah.
again, language, we should be sensitive that there's another culture, there's another group, and I think that's important.
But you're talking on the tourist level. What about on the, buying property, buying business, making investments? For example, we have energy here. We have renewable energy is available. We have a lot of bureaucracy around that, but we do have it. And the Chinese have made extraordinary investments in other places in the world in energy. Do you think they would come here and invest in energy?
Well, I think
You don't have to reveal any confidences on this now.
we do represent one of the largest international solar companies in China that's listed, and the owner, the head guy, is listed by Forbes as one of the top wealthiest guys in China. Okay, I can say that, but it's real. The energy companies in China do a lot of research. That they're sending their products out again, but my question back is there something here for them? If they make an investment for a return, is this community ready for that? And I think there's always a natural suspicion if somebody comes in, if it's Chinese, a lot of money, that's going to eat us up. There's always that thought process that goes along with it. But I believe in the long run that there's a lot of potential for a lot of different things to come here, but we just have to narrowly focus on what industry, who can offer what. And target those industries.
Let me ask you a question I haven't asked you before. We've discussed many times, what Hawaii should do and how Hawaii can benefit by, building bridges
Right.
with China. And that's a sort of juicy and wonderful possibility, but it hasn't actually happened. Maybe these flights will help. But my question to you today, Russell, is can we afford not to build a bridge with China?
Well, I look at it this way. I think it would be a big mistake that we don't build a bridge. The Chinese have a lot of money, and they're going to go out and find other places if we don't build that bridge. We can lose by default, as I would say. Other communities will prosper. And I've seen it being in China, a lot of places, everybody's trying to make a connection. For example, I was at a law school dean's conference, 640 China law school deans, and there were 5 U.S. law school deans invited to attend and to participate. And what I've learned is staggering. The law schools in the U.S. have a decline overall of 40% enrollment. The Chinese have a 6% enrollment. And the Chinese have a 40% 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 enrollment. And the Chinese have a they're going to go out of business. They're in China now to promote themselves for students that come to the U.S. to attend the U.S. Law School JD program. Prior to this, the U.S. law schools were saying, well, you have to take an LSAT. If you don't have to score an LSAT, we don't want you. Now they need the money. So now they're coming back and says, wait a minute. If you will come and take an LLM and you do well enough, we will allow you to come to a JD program. We will give you credit your LL course of work for your JD, and you'll get both an LLM and JD. Everybody's trying to cut a deal. Tells me something. We need them more than they need us, really.
Sure.
And I think that for Hawaii, again, tourism is a big thing. I think in a short-term horizon, I see a lot of possibilities if this is done right. I think
in tourism or in everything?
Well, tourism relates to real estate development. For example, my thought process is that if we have now a 80 to 90% occupancy rate without the Chinese here, that means we need hotels. I can see around the convention center, gateway to Waikiki, that area. Chinese love to shop. That's a natural shopping.
Put them near
Put them there.
Yeah.
And let's give incentives to get that area built nicely. We have old hotels, 70s, 80s built, old infrastructure. We need something vibrant, dynamic in the city.
Yeah,
Modern new
like in
architecture.
Beijing, like
in
in
Beijing.
Kerry Center and all that.
Modern architecture that we're proud of, to say that we are now part of this global thing.
Yeah.
I think the mayor here is going to find out that he's done actually a great thing with that new rapid transit, or that transit. Think from the airport, you go to Ala Moana, and hotels nearby, they pick up the baggage, and you've just paid for that ridership. A lot of tourists that come every day.
Yeah.
You pay for it, and they will take them to the hotels near there, and you can create shuttle buses between that area and Waikiki if they want to go to Waikiki beaches. And you've just enlarged the whole Waikiki.
But you're speaking now as a kind of an expatriate resident of Hawaii. You want to see Hawaii benefit. Because this isn't going to, well, maybe it is going to do you some good. I mean, you could represent these guys who come to Hawaii.
I could.
So you'd be that facilitator person. So I guess you get it from
I
both
get both
ends.
sides, but I think the important thing for me as a born and raised here, I want to see this place die. I want to see it move into the next century, next part of the world where, again, we're not going to stagnate with the 70s and 80s. We all have that pride, Jay. We want to see it happen. We've got a beautiful convention center. The new operator, AEG, operates the Staples Center. We've got dynamic forces here. I think the HTA is doing a great job. They've got a new China tour operator. We're going to see good things. But we as a community need to do something. We need to say we can do it. We want that second wave of investment done right, sensitive to the community, to the Hawaiian culture, fill the needs of these Chinese tourists, create hotels near there, which we can make it attractive for more conventions to come here, because hotels are next door to it. We don't have to shuttle people around. And the Chinese are famous for shopping. They shop and spend more than the Japanese shoppers ever. And they will come and they will buy.
That's Russell Leu. Around the time, Russell.
Thanks,
Russell
Jay.
Leu from Shepherd Mullins, a very active, vigorous firm out of LA and in Beijing, where Russell is practicing, and in Shanghai. Today we've been talking about where are all the Chinese, and Russell can answer that question, and he answers it slightly different each time because it's a moving target. This is Asia in Review in the ThinkTech Network. Thank you very much, Russell, for coming down.
Thank you, Jay.
Come back
I'm looking
soon
forward
and
to
come
it.
talk
I'll see
to
you in
us
Beijing,
again.
and I'll see you
All
in
right,
Beijing.
next year, in Beijing. Next month in Honolulu. Aloha, 再见, 谢谢.
Okay, 再见.